Here's a little story about Kate Eccles. And it appears minor on the surface, yet it touches one of the most vital threads of our democratic fabric, the integrity and transparency of members of Parliament, what they do, what they get up to, what they say, how much they charge to their expense accounts. Kate Eccles, the Labour MP for Stourbridge, is currently under investigation by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards for what might seem at first glance a technical problem, but it raises broader ethical and political questions. The allegation that she was late in declaring a sponsored trip to Israel and the Palestinian territories. The visit, funded by Labour Friends of Israel, cost £2,600 and included flights, meals and accommodation. It took place between the 25th and the 29th of May, yet was not registered until the 9th of July, missing the 28-day declaration deadline required under the rules of the House of Commons. Now, what are these rules and why do they matter? Parliamentary rules are clear. MPs must register any gifts, benefits or hospitality they receive in connection with their role within 28 days. And the relevant principle is stated explicitly. Members shall always be open and frank in declaring any relevant interest. This is not pedantry. These declarations exist so that the public and fellow parliamentarians can judge whether an MP's actions may be influenced by external factors, especially from foreign states or advocacy groups with strong global and political interests. Eccles' team has stated that the error was administrative, not malicious. They emphasised that the trip was referred to openly in common speeches and rectified as soon as the omission was discovered. On the face of it, that's plausible. Administrative errors happen. But that doesn't entirely excuse the breach, nor does the argument that everyone could already see what she was doing diminish the importance of meeting the legal requirement of transparency in due time. The case matters for three reasons. First, it comes in the context of intensifying scrutiny over MPs' overseas trips, especially to conflict zones like Israel and Palestine, and with public trust in politicians already at an historic low, any whiff of impropriety, however slight, must be seized upon. And the optics of an undeclared trip funded by a partisan foreign lobbying organisation is politically toxic, even if the actual purpose was legitimate. Second, Eccles' visit was not neutral. Labour Friends of Israel is a known advocacy group, and the MP's decision to join their delegation and her subsequent meetings with figures including the Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog makes it even more essential that her participation be properly documented and timed. It is precisely in such controversial matters that transparency must be strongest. Third, this case also sits awkwardly with Labour's own internal contradictions. Eccles has spoken in support of Palestinian recognition of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the need for peace building, yet her participation in that trip, that some pro-Palestinian campaigners saw as biased or uncritical of Israeli policy, has prompted fierce criticism. So, the question isn't just legal, it's moral and political. Did Eccles fail to appreciate the sensitivities of her trip? Or was this a conscious attempt to straddle both sides of a deeply polarised issue? Being hosted by a foreign-linked organisation is not in itself wrongdoing. MPs from all parties take part in such visits. Indeed, cross-border dialogue can be a vital tool to foreign policy education, but the declaration rules exist to ensure that such trips are declared promptly, not merely retrospectively, and certainly not after the fact when questions begin to be asked by constituents or the media. The Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, Daniel Greenberg, has rightly opened a formal inquiry. If it finds that Eccles breached the rules, there may be consequences from a reprimand to a requirement for a formal apology, or, in more severe cases, a referral to the Committee on Standards. But the larger lesson is this: transparency is not a bureaucratic box tick, it's the oxygen of public trust. And MPs operate not merely under the law, but under a moral obligation to be seen to be honest custodians of power. A missed deadline, even a minor missed deadline, must therefore be taken seriously. And I hope that Eccles cooperates fully, learns from this lapse, and recommits herself, as all MPs must, to the high standards that public life demands.